Let me say something that might sound crazy. Your credit score was never designed to make you wealthy. It was designed to measure how profitable you are. That's it. Not how disciplined you are, not how financially free you are, not how smart you are with money, just how reliable you are at paying lenders back with interest. Think about that. If you have zero debt, no credit cards, no loans, no borrowing history, your credit score doesn't reward you. In fact, it may barely exist. But if you borrow consistently, make payments for years, carry balances responsibly, your score rises. Why? Because the system values borrowers. Let's talk about Marcus. Marcus is 30 years old. He worked hard to avoid debt. He paid cash for his car. He avoids credit cards. He saves aggressively. He decides to apply for a mortgage. The bank looks at his credit file. Limited history, thin profile, low activity. Result? Higher interest rate than someone who has been borrowing for years. Marcus did everything safe, but the system prefers someone who has proven they can manage debt, not avoid it. That's the first illusion. We are told, build your credit. But what that really means is, prove you can handle debt. Now let's go deeper. Credit scores are built on 5 major factors: payment history, amounts owed, length of credit history, credit mix, new credit inquiries. Notice something. Every factor revolves around borrowing, not saving, not investing, not owning assets. Borrowing. The more you participate in debt responsibly, the stronger your score becomes. The less you borrow, the less the system can measure you. So from the beginning, the structure pushes participation. You are encouraged to open cards early, keep accounts active, use credit regularly, maintain balances below limits. That's not accidental. It keeps the lending system alive. Now here's where it gets interesting. A high credit score makes borrowing cheaper, lower interest rates, better approvals, higher limits. That feels like winning, but cheaper debt is still debt. And the more comfortable you become with borrowing, the more normalized it feels. This is where people get trapped. They think, I have an 800 score. I'm financially strong. But an 800 score doesn't mean you have no debt. You are financially free. You are building wealth. It simply means you are excellent at managing debt. That's a huge difference. In part 2, we'll break down why the credit score system benefits lenders more than consumers, how it quietly encourages lifelong borrowing, and why being creditworthy is not the same as being financially secure. Now let's ask the real question. Who benefits the most from the credit score system? You or the lenders? Banks don't use credit scores to reward you. They use them to reduce their risk. Your score is a risk rating. It tells lenders how likely are you to repay? How profitable are you long term? How safely can we lend to you? A high score doesn't mean you're winning. It means you are predictable, and predictability is profitable. Now think about this. If someone has 3 credit cards, an auto loan, a mortgage, years of perfect payment history, they likely have a strong score, but they are also paying interest somewhere. Interest is the engine of the lending industry. The system rewards those who participate consistently. Let's go back to Marcus. Marcus avoided debt. He saved cash. He lived below his means. But because he didn't actively borrow, he had less data. And less data means more uncertainty for lenders. Uncertainty means higher rates. So the system quietly encourages participation. Open a card, use it, pay it monthly, keep the account active. Not to make you wealthy, but to keep the cycle measurable. Now here's the psychological shift. When people see their credit score rise, they feel successful. It becomes a game. 750, 751, 752. It feels like leveling up. But what are you leveling up in? Debt management, not wealth creation. There's a massive difference. You can have an 820 credit score and still be stressed about payments. You can have a 650 score, but zero debt and strong savings. Which one is financially stronger? The system defines success differently than financial freedom does. Credit scores measure trustworthiness to lenders. They do not measure independence. And here's something most people never question. Why is your ability to borrow the main financial metric attached to your name? Think about that. Your reputation in the financial world is tied to how well you manage debt, not how well you build assets, not how well you invest, not how well you avoid liabilities. That alone tells you who the system was built for. In part 3, we'll talk about the long-term impact, how chasing a high score can quietly lock people into borrowing habits, and why some of the most financially independent people don't obsess over credit at all. Now let's talk about what happens when people start chasing the number. At first, it feels responsible. You check your score, you track it monthly, you celebrate when it rises. But slowly, something shifts. Instead of asking, is this purchase necessary? You start asking, will this help my credit? You open another card to improve your credit mix. You finance a car instead of paying cash to keep history active. You keep accounts open just to maintain length of credit. The focus moves from financial strength to score optimization. And that's where the trap begins. Because optimizing your credit score often requires ongoing participation in debt. To keep a high score, you need activity. No activity, your profile becomes thin. Again, less data, less predictability. So people keep small balances, they rotate cards, they stay engaged with lenders, all in the name of maintaining a number. Now, imagine two individuals. Person A, high credit score, mortgage, car payment, credit cards in rotation, consistent monthly obligations. Person B, no debt, paid off car, strong emergency fund, investments growing, minimal borrowing activity. In the eyes of the credit system, person A may look stronger. But in real life, person B has more freedom. The system rewards engagement with credit, but financial independence often comes from reducing reliance on it. Here's another subtle effect. When your score becomes high, offers increase. Pre-approved cards, higher limits, loan offers, 0% financing, you feel trusted. But what's really happening? You're being targeted because lenders know you are disciplined, you are reliable, you are profitable. The better your score, the safer you look as a long-term borrower, and that keeps the cycle alive. Chasing the score can slowly normalize debt as a tool for everything: travel, furniture, upgrades, lifestyle improvements. Because with a strong score, borrowing feels easy. And when borrowing feels easy, resistance weakens. Now, this doesn't mean credit is useless. It means the goal should never be the number itself. The goal should be leverage when necessary, not dependency. In part 4, we'll break down the balance, how to use the credit system strategically without being controlled by it, and what real financial strength actually looks like beyond a 3-digit score. Now, let's be clear. Credit scores are not evil, they are tools. The problem begins when the tool becomes the goal. A credit score should support your financial life. It should not define it. Real financial strength is not measured by how well you borrow. It's measured by how little you need to. Here's the balanced truth. You need credit for certain things. A mortgage, sometimes a car loan, business financing. In those moments, a strong score gives you leverage, lower rates, better approvals, stronger negotiating power. That's when credit works for you. But outside of those strategic moments, the goal should be reducing dependence, because every monthly payment reduces flexibility, and flexibility is wealth. Let's compare two long-term paths. Path 1. Build credit early. Finance lifestyle upgrades. Keep balances active. Maintain high limits. Always have payments. Score stays high, but so do obligations. Path 2. Build credit strategically. Use it when necessary. Avoid lifestyle debt. Pay off liabilities aggressively. Increase savings and investments. Score may fluctuate slightly, but freedom increases dramatically. The difference is mindset. In path 1, the person asks, how will this affect my score? In path 2, the person asks, how will this affect my freedom? That question changes everything. Now, here's something important. You can have an 820 credit score and still live paycheck to paycheck. You can have a 700 score and 6 months of expenses saved. Which one sleeps better at night? The credit system measures reliability, but real wealth measures resilience. Resilience means you can survive job loss, you can handle emergencies, you can say no to bad opportunities. You are not trapped by monthly obligations. That's power. And here's the key takeaway. Build good credit, but don't worship it. Use it strategically. Don't let it control your decisions, because the system was built to evaluate borrowers, not to create financially free people. Let's end this the right way. Most people are trying to look good to lenders. They celebrate high limits, pre-approvals, premium credit offers, rising scores. It feels like financial progress. But ask yourself something deeper. Why are you trying so hard to look trustworthy to banks? Banks are not rewarding you for independence, they are rewarding you for participation. Participation in borrowing, participation in interest, participation in long-term repayment. The real power move is not, how do I get approved? It's, how do I reduce the need for approval? Because when you need permission to fund your life, you are dependent on the system. When you build cash reserves, investments, low fixed costs, and minimal obligations, you stop asking for permission. That's financial maturity. Now imagine two 45-year-olds. Person 1, 820 credit score, mortgage, car loans, multiple active cards, strong borrowing profile. Person 2, 700 credit score, paid off car, low mortgage balance or none, 6 months of expenses saved, growing investments. The system might rank person 1 higher, but who has more freedom? Who can walk away from a job? Who can survive economic shock? Who sleeps without payment anxiety? That's the difference between credit strength and financial strength. Credit strength impresses lenders. Financial strength protects you. The goal is not to ignore credit. The goal is to master it without becoming dependent on it. Use it strategically. Avoid lifestyle debt. Build assets that reduce your need to borrow. Because the ultimate flex isn't a perfect credit score, it's optionality. It's being able to say, I don't need financing. That's power. If this changed how you see money, subscribe to Kane Invests for real financial strategies focused on independence, not just credit scores. Build smart, live free.